Hey folks, Jackdaw here. Are you already planning your next Dragon Age OC like I am? Curious about who you'll become as Rook in the Veilguard? Of course you are. Well, let me help you even further, because today we're diving into everything we know about our new hero. From their role and connection with Solas, Inquisition chess references, to their faction choice, romance, customization, their classes, tarot card plotlines foreshadowed, and even more. We're diving into literally every single confirmed detail about Rook, so let's find out, who will you become? Let's kick this off with Rook's role in Dragon Age Taylor's version. Much like a powerful Rook piece on Solas' chessboard, or a black-feathered bird, even an abbreviation for a rookie, Rook plays a crucial yet smaller role compared to the Inquisitor, though the Inquisitor will be joining this narrative to some degree. There's no magical hand, and we are untouched by ancient prophecies. Rook's strength lies in their ability to build consensus and foster teamwork. And as the newly appointed leader of the Veilguard, Rook must stop elven gods from blighting the world, but they can't do it alone. The odds are stacked against them, requiring the support of 7 companions to succeed. Datvi's message is that you can't save this world alone. You need both your companions and the factions around you. Help them and they'll help you in return. Regarding customization, a core tenet of the Veilguard is be who you want to be, reflected in its highly detailed character creator, which features 5 main categories: lineage, appearance, class, faction, and playstyle, each with multiple subcategories. For example, the appearance category alone has 8 subcategories under head. Now, lineage determines your race, choosing from the classic Dragon Age options: elf, Qunari, human, or dwarf. And players can choose Rook's pronouns: she, her, they, them, he, him, and their gender. Regarding full body customization, you can adjust pretty much everything, from shoulder width to glut volume, using a triangular slider between body types and individual settings. BioWare confirmed that no matter the build of your Rook, including making them a short king, the animations are designed to always fit around any type of character. And the Veilguard right off the gate will feature nudity as shown during a character customization demonstration, where a feminine Rook's shirt was removed, adjusting their chest size. And there are dozens and dozens of hairstyles, with individual strands of hair rendered separately and reacting quite remarkably to in-game physics. In addition to new makeup and tattoo options, the game offers extensive hair options that use a strand system, and this ensures realistic movement and behaviour for different races. And as mentioned in the dev Discord Q&A, the character art team has created highly realistic dwarf beards, and Qunari horns can be customised separately from their hairstyles. Beyond basic skin tone options, you can adjust your skin undertone, melanin level, and how skin reacts to light. And just like in Dragon Age Inquisition, Rook has the option between 4 voices, 2 feminine and 2 masculine, each with British or American accents. And we just got Rook's voice actors confirmed. We have Alex Jordan as the British masculine voice, Bryony Corrigan as the British feminine voice, Erika Ishii as American feminine, and Jeff Berg as American masculine. Now, Alex Jordan, the British masculine voice actor, the voice that I was already going to default to anyway because I'm creating my first Rook to be a self-insert, and of course, if you couldn't tell, I am British indeed. I told Alex on Twitter that I cannot wait to hear his voice represent my Rook, and Alex replied wanting me to specifically know that he has been watching my theory videos the entire time through recording his lines for Rook, and this to me is just absolutely insane to hear, and I'm so massively appreciate the fact that Rook all along has been watching my content. And Alex, just in case if you are watching this, if you would ever like to have a chat with this humble Brit about the role, Rook, either before or after the Veilguard's release, please do let me know. It would be an absolute privilege to chat with you one-on-one. Anyway, getting back to Rook, just in case the 4 voices don't do it for you, there is a pitch shifter so you can fine-tune the voice even further to your specific preference. Now, Rook's dialogue options range from friendly and snarky to direct, and these choices influence how Rook's relationships with with their companions will develop. Once finalizing your character customization, you can adjust physical appearance later on in the game using the Mirror of Transformation in the new hub. But key choices like your class, your lineage, and your faction are set in stone once you make them in the character creator. And this is because the game significantly influences Rook's journey and interactions throughout the game based on those choices, so be wise and think ahead about the class and the faction that your Rook is going to be a part of. Speaking of classes, in the Veilguard, the Warrior, Mage, and Rogue classes all have unique combat mechanics, however with the very same buttons performing different actions depending on your class. For example, the same button that would have a warrior throwing their shield like Captain America is going to be the same button that a mage can use magical ranged attacks. Now, you are not restricted by your class, your lineage, or your faction combination for Rook. For instance, you can play as a mage who is also a crow, or a warrior who is also a moon watcher. Speaking of the classes, rogues are known for their agility and stealth with a larger window for parrying, and their specializations include the duelist, which is a fast fighter with dual blades for quick strikes, the saboteur, which is a master of traps and tricks, and the veil ranger, a ranged attacker who uses bows to snipe from a distance. Regarding our mage class in the Veilguard, they are skilled in arcane magic and use a magical shield to block damage, of course depending on their mana. And they can specialize as death callers, which are basically necromancers, evokers who wield fire, ice and lightning, or spellblades, which is a specialization of melee fighters who infuse their attacks with magic. And lastly, of course, we have warriors who excel in physical combat and can parry attacks to stagger enemies with their shield. And they can specialize as champions, your tactical defense fighter, a reaper who use night blades to drain life and gain unnatural abilities, or a slayer, which is an expert with powerful two-handed weapons. Specializations in the Veilguard unlock as you invest skill points into their respective trees. And companions also have abilities and skill trees, though less extensive than Rook's, and increasing relationship levels is going to unlock new abilities with them. This time around, even mages can perform close range attacks as a default, and this makes sense in the Veilguard because as a mage who could also be an Antivan Crow, they need to have skills to be able to suit that specific role. Now, Rook avoids blood magic for spoilery plot reasons, but even so, the mage skill tree still offers diverse spells, traits, and perks for flexible gameplay, just unfortunately not through blood magic. Now, regardless of your class, Rook will be able to execute light and heavy attacks, use abilities, and interact with the combo wheel similarly. And players can set up 2 weapon loadouts for Rook, allowing for some swift mid-combat switches, like shifting from a staff to magical daggers for a varied strategy as a mage, which just sounds flippin' sick. Now, moving on to your faction and background, of course, players can deeply customize Rook's background by choosing between one of the 6 different factions that have a huge presence in Northern Thedas. And they are the Grey Wardens, of course, returning veterans known for their battle against the Darkspawn. The Antivan Crows, stealthy assassins renowned for their deadly contracts. The Morn Watch, guardians of the ancient Navaran tombs of the dead. The Shadow Dragons, secretive operatives based in Tevinter, skilled in espionage, the Lords of Fortune, who are pirate-themed adventurers with a knack for treasure, and lastly, the Veil Jumpers, expert navigators of the Arlafan Forest's mysteries. Your faction choice will determine Rook's past, how they came to meet Varric, and why they now travel with Varric rather than staying with their original faction. And each faction offers unique benefits, like faction-themed gear, increased group reputation, and 3 tactical traits like, for example, an extra potion slot or extra damage against a specific enemy. For example, the Lords of Fortune deal more damage to mercenaries and perform takedowns with less effort. Additionally, certain conversation options are specific to your faction. For example, Grey Wardens will have dialogue focused on the Blight. Your faction choice also affects how other characters respond to you and influences the plot based on your faction's role. In the same vein, Rook's chosen faction background will also match one of your companions, ultimately influencing interactions with all types of characters around you, the factions themselves, and locations as you play. As well as letting you mold Rook's past and personality, your faction decision will determine events, their importance, and Rook's motivations throughout the game, fundamentally shaping their character towards your choices. And extensive decision trees for Rook are going to greatly affect dialogue and story outcomes, with real consequences based on your choices. For instance, an elven Rook interacting with an elven follower, like Davrin, is going to unlock special dialogue and potentially new story branches. As an even smaller detail, Rook's last name is defined based on their faction too. Now, there are no unique faction origin based missions. Rook's journey starts the same regardless of their chosen faction, in Manrathus with Varric looking for Nev Gallus. Speaking of which, let's talk about the story and Rook's involvement with it, at least what we know so far. The narrative of the Veilguard kicks off with Rook disturbing Solas' ritual intended to destroy the Veil, and Rook's disruption of his ritual traps Solas in the Fade and inadvertently releases two elven gods, Elganan and Gillinan, and these blighted gods now pose a significant threat to Thedas, and it is up to Rook and their companions to stop them, essentially undo the thing that they did. After halting Solas' ritual, Rook passes out and awakens in a dreamlike realm where Solas reveals that Rook's blood interacted with the ritual and has permanently connected Rook to the Fade as well as with Solas, because Solas is locked away in the Fade, likely being the Black City. Solas explains that he was trying to relocate the elven gods to a brand new prison because their previous confinement was failing. Now, due to the disrupted ritual, Elganan and Gillinan are free to bring blight upon this world, and it is now Rook's mission to stop them. Now, Rook's connection with Solas offers a very unique gameplay experience, letting players interact with Solas as he guides the plot, or at least attempts to guide Rook's direction. And this relationship is central to the game's narrative. Whether you love Solas, hate Solas, or want to throw Solas off a building, Rook can have a varied relationship with him, and the kind of relationship that you build with Solas is going to determine his conclusion. From an early point in this story, Solas sees much of himself in Rook, especially the parts that he dislikes. This creates an interesting push and pull between the two, defined ultimately by Rook's dialogue choices. Now, brief bit of tinfoil and speculation here. Considering Solas' connection to the Tower tarot card in Dragon Age Inquisition once you romanced him, which symbolizes chaos, transformation, and also personal awakening, this tarot card reflects Solas' plan to destroy the Veil and restore the Elven era. Interestingly, a Rook can represent a tower, equally paralleling Solas' tarot card. But now, in the Veilguard, we know for a fact, not just speculatively, that Rook mirrors Solas, particularly the parts that he doesn't like. And so with that, is a journey of either transformation, awakening, or chaos foreshadowed for the pair, depending on the relationship that we build with him and the potential conclusion of Solas' character? I think so. And if we look back at the Wolf Rook logo from 2015 with the wolf in flames above the Rook, initially this hinted at Solas' influence over our brand new hero, watching and waiting like an adversary in chess, and potentially even to some degree manipulating them. Well, now we bring all of that speculation to 2024 with the full context of everything we know so far about Rook's connection and Solas' dynamic. It's clear that Solas is in the Fade, guiding Rook as they carry out his schemes in Thedas. So that intent from 2015 that's always been teased and hinted at remains the same even today, now with more context. Tentatively speculative, we have to talk about Solas' ritual blade, because in the main key art for the Veilguard, Rook is showing Solas' ritual blade. At least I believe that to be Solas' ritual blade because he was holding that exact same type of blade in the gameplay preview. However, I did make a video about 2 months ago talking about there potentially being 2 lyrium blades in this world based on more key art. For now, we are just going to claim that Rook is holding the very same ritual blade that Solas once held before he was flung and trapped in the Fade. Given that circumstance, it's likely that Rook acquired the blade beforehand. The world teeters on a knife's edge after all. Particularly, Solas' ritual blade is reminiscent of the weapon that deceived the Evanuris in Elven legends. According to tales recounted by Merrill, Fen'Harel tricked both sides of the gods by claiming that the other had forged a terrible weapon that would end the war. And in this tale, this supposed weapon was seen as a ruse, as each side of the gods searched for it. Fen'Harel used the opportunity to imprison them in their respected realms and then created the Veil. However, if that very same blade appears now, it's no mere ruse. And just before the events of the Veilguard, Solas' ritual blade was uncovered from literally being encased in the red lyrium idol. However, it was revealed during a blood magic ritual involving bound spirits. The red lyrium idol itself equally has a dark past, wielded by Meredith in Dragon Age 2 and tainted by the Blight. And so tying all of this together, speculatively, Rook has this ancient weapon of Solas's in their arsenal. This blade might bestow unique powers and abilities that could be especially effective against the elven gods, given the fact that they are blighted. A blade made of lyrium, linked to the blood of the magical titans and also the elven era, if it is to be the same blade, could bring plenty of exciting new gameplay mechanics and possibilities, ultimately revolutionizing combat in various ways regardless of your character's class. Okay, enough tinfoil for the moment. Back to what we do know. After meeting Solas in the Fade, Rook wakes up with Harding and Nev in the Dreadwolf's lair called the Lighthouse. This magical realm in the Fade now serves as the Veilguard central hub and evolves with time. Notably though, Varric is absent from this scene, leaving questions about his fate. The Lighthouse adapts to the world's emotions and state, ultimately reflecting Solas' plans and his mindset from the last 10 years since Inquisition. And this setup lets Rook explore Solas' isolated existence through decorated frescoes, books, and other items, giving a visual insight into Solas' state of mind. Hopefully, that also means Fade memories of Solas' time in the Elven Empire. The Lighthouse's library in particular is the main space for the Veilguard, where the party gathers up and plans their next moves. And each companion has their own room in the Lighthouse for the usual chinwag and flirt, 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 romance, romance, romance option. And speaking of which, unlike any Dragon Age game before it, every single companion in our crew has a fully fleshed out romance arc, offering Rook the chance to explore a range of romantic experiences, from the more intense and physical to the intimate and sensual. Early flirtation is possible with all the companions that join Rook's party in the first act, but deeper, more significant relationships develop later on in the game. And as players build relationships through dialogue choices and actions, they influence not only the romantic outcomes, but also the companions' development and interactions with each other, as some companions may actually decide to romance each other. And like I mentioned at the start, nudity is confirmed in the Veilguard, as the game is a mature RPG, so you can expect for things to get a bit frisky depending on the particular romance. With that is everything you could possibly need to know right now about Rook, your next hero in the Veilguard. Let me know down below what ideas you have for your first Rook going into this game blind. Have you already written out your detailed backstory? You are already in the right place for the latest on Dragon Age the Veilguard. Until the next one, I've been Jackdaw, and I should go whoa, 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 whoa.